Click, click. Hello everyone, this is Take from BigHeadTaco.com, and I'm coming to you down here in, I don't know what this is called, but if camera girl can pan, this is Franklin Street. We're just between Clark and just west of Clark, so this is kind of it's a no man's land. I call it's the new rail town. I love it down here. Milan from HiFiMurals.com did this. If you go on to my Instagram account from a few months back or even a few weeks back, you'll see the work he's done. But this is beautiful work. He's done lots of work all over town. So check him out, HiFiMurals, H-I, and then F-I, HiFiMurals.com. But anyways, we're down here to do a full review on the Fujifilm X-30. I did two kind of quick previews of the camera, and I've had this camera for 3 to 4 weeks, maybe almost a month. And overall, I do like this camera. As I mentioned before, I did review the X10 and X20, specifically the X20, and I was very iffy on if I liked it or not. In the end, I didn't do a review of it. I never review cameras that I don't like. So this camera obviously I do like because I'm reviewing it, and I would quickly go over some of the features that I really like about it, which is obviously there's more pros, and just a few things I call them cons, but as well as things that Fuji can do to improve on it. And I have two really great accessories for this, which is the EF X20 flash, and as well as the, I don't know what the number or name of it is the lens hood slash filter adapter. So it's a 52mm. I don't even have it with me because I don't like it. The original lens cap is very similar to the X100 series cap that kind of folds. It just kind of goes on top of the lens. It always feels like it's going to drop off. It probably won't, but it feels that way. And it's a really hard, rigid aluminum cap, so it feels expensive, but there's nowhere to put it. If you put it in your back pocket and you sit on it by accident, it hurts. So if you get this filter and hood and you get a 52mm with a little pinch lens cap, I think that's the best way to have a lens cap for this camera. Now, the number one feature about this camera that a lot of people enjoy is the manual zooming on this. So it's a 28 to 112 equivalent zoom, and there's two things about it that I like. Well, one thing about it that I really like, and one thing that I really hate, and I'm going to mention at the same time, even though this is a pros section of it. I like that you can leave it at a certain focal length, and that's one of the things about shooting with the zoom. It's not a cheap way of cropping, which most people do, but really a 28mm perspective, as well as the amount of compression, is very different than shooting at a 50mm. And so with this camera, I actually enjoyed shooting at a 50mm equivalent. Now, so we leave it at 50mm, okay? So you can, I'm not sure if you can even see that, but it's at 50mm. And the way this zooms, if you can sort of see, I leave it like this. This is at 28mm, and this is at 50mm. So you notice even when it goes to 35, it actually drops a bit, and then it goes up a little bit. So from 28 to 50, it's actually about the same amount of it protruding out. So I leave it at 50mm. Now, if I want to turn the camera off, what do I have to do? Well, you gotta spin this whole thing to turn it off. Now, I thought the coolest thing about this camera is that you can, unlike most point and shoots, which is like a toggle zoom, this you leave at 50, and wouldn't it be nice, like the other X series cameras, if you can just turn the camera off. So whenever you're ready to shoot, all you do is turn it on, and you know that the camera's already sitting at 50. So Fuji, this is a great idea, this manual zooming, but if I may recommend, I find that this off here is actually kind of gimmicky. You can turn the camera on just in the play mode by pressing and holding down the play button, but to turn the camera off and on, I recommend put it here, like the X100s and the XE2s, and I think even the XT1. They're all right by the next to the shutter. So that's the one recommendation. But I love the fact that most zoom cameras, the RX 100s and all those of this class, they're all step zooms, meaning it's not 28 to 112 or 28 to 120. It's not smooth. It's actually in steps. So it might go 28, 30, 35, 40, 50, 55, 65. But this is infinite. There is no steps. It's a smooth. If you want to be just a little bit under 50 or a little bit above 85, that's what you can do with this. So that's the number one feature of this camera, that why the X10, the X20, and the X30 now, why it's done so well and there's such fans of it. It's just manual zoom, but just that off switch, I don't think it's necessary. Now, I have notes here. so I won't forget what I'm gonna say and ramble for no reason. So manual zoom, that's the number one thing. Operating firmware. A lot of the things that I complained about on all the other X series cameras, it's been improved on this camera. For instance, the Q button that Fuji's been famous for, and most other brands now have sort of jumped on board with this, is a quick access to your most accessed features. Before, it was a preset. Fuji gave you what they felt were your top 12 main features that you would access, and there's no way you can change what was showing up there, and there's no way you can change the order. Well, with this new firmware update on the X-30, and I'm sure they're going to apply it backwards to the TX1, the XE2. Hopefully they will, and all the older cameras. You could not only pick the 12 you want, and you don't even have to pick 12. You can only pick, I think I tried even 8, and then the bottom line is empty, but you have your 12, actually not even 12, it's 16. You could pick the order of it, so that's great. So that's one of the things. Another thing is, I complained with the video with Kurt Dahl about access to flash compensation. Now this is a cool flash, but let's just pretend we don't have this on here right now. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But if you wanted to do flash exposure compensation, you have to dig into the menus. They wouldn't allow you to use the custom function buttons to access the flash exposure compensation. Lo and behold, after Big Head Taco complains, I'm not saying it was just me, I'm sure there's other reviewers, but now you can actually use there's 4 custom buttons. So there's 1 in the front, no, 6, 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe there's more than 4, but anyways, you can use one of the custom function buttons to access flash compensation, and not only flash compensation, but they've added a few more cool features. So that's another thing. So those are just 2 firmware OS operating upgrades that they've done on the X30 that actually makes this handle better than any other X camera, better than the XT1, XE2, the X Pro 1, any of those cameras. This actually operates better. And so hopefully Fuji will incorporate this into all the other X series cameras. So that's another thing that I really like about the X30. So it makes shooting much quicker and more intuitive. Now let's see here. Manual pick, quick flash exposure. There you go. So those are the main pluses that I have about this camera. Little things, as I mentioned on my other ones, this tilty, flippy, articulating screen. I find I actually didn't use it that much with this camera because I had so much fun using the EVF. Now, this is $599 US retail, and I think it's going to probably drop to maybe even $550 after the hype is down. But the EVF is class leading. I looked at the RX100 with the pop-up EVF. This is optical glass, or maybe it's kind of a hybrid plastic glass, but it's very nice for its size. And like the XT1, it has that vertical, and I showed it in my preview, it has that vertical information feature, which is really nice. So I find that I actually just really enjoy shooting it like this, and I rarely use this. Now this obviously has its reasons, shooting straight up, shooting down like this, but I just been shooting like this and at 50 mil, and I've been having a great time with this camera. Negatives. The biggest negative about this camera, I would say, is the sensor size and the off switch, sorry. But the sensor size, now, not that it's a 2/3 size sensor, so it's bigger than the 1/1.7, but much smaller than even the one size up in this compact enthusiast range, which is the RX100. That's a 1-inch sensor. So this is a 2/3. If you go to Fuji's website, they have full res images. Now you decide yourself if you are happy with the image resolution. I'm happy with it for what I want to use for it, which is social media, product shots, just basic street photography without having to blow the picture up. But for some camera nerds, I'm a camera nerd, but like some other camera nerds, they want the highest resolution per size, and for this size of camera, I would have to agree that the resolution is not as high as what many want it. But those of you that like the X10 and the X20, it's the same sensor size, the same firmware, the same processing power, so you're gonna get basically the same picture, which is that famous Fujifilm CMOS X-Trans sensor type look, and I like it. So that will be the only real negative. Oh, one more positive too is the classic chrome. I know other people have laughed. The Chris Michaels from the camera store in Calgary said it's kind of he didn't really think it was a big deal. And I think even Kai from Digital Rev said it wasn't really a big deal. I actually really like it. You know what, Camera Girl, I'm sorry. She's signaling me to tell me I'm at the 10-minute mark. This is a full review, so I think I'm gonna go another 2-3 more minutes because I can't get this all down in one take. So sorry, Camera Girl. We're gonna go a few more minutes. Those guys think that the classic chrome is a waste. I'll post it on my full review on my blog, but I think it's really cool. I enjoy shooting JPEGs, especially with Fuji. I think they have the best class-leading JPEGs out of almost any brand, and they simulate film, the look of certain types of films. So they have Provia, Sensia, Velvia. Now they've added classic chrome, which is an imitation of the Kodak Kodachrome, and I think it looks really cool. So I actually do on my drive mode, which another thing I like is that it's right by your thumb and not like the other Fuji cameras. The drive mode is on the far left side, is that you can hit this, and I do bracketing. So I shoot Provia, black and white, and classic chrome, and all my shots are done in those three, and I pick which of the three that I like. So I like it. I think it's really cool. Now, very quick review of the EF X-20 flash. It works well with any Fuji camera, TTL, but you can add this to any camera because what it has on here, if camera girl can focus in a little bit, it has the ratio flash shooting. So if you understand how to shoot with ratio and using a camera guide number, which is guide number 20 meters, you can either shoot at full 1:1 down to 1/64th. And I found that indoors, I just tested this after having lunch with camera girl, that at 1/64th, at ISO 200, at 50 mil, at about a meter and a half, if you shoot indoors, 1/64th is a nice little pop flash. So you shoot in manual mode, you decide what the ambient exposure is going to be, and then you just pop a little bit at 1/64th. And then if you shoot at ISO 400, you have the, actually at 1/64th at f5.6 at ISO 200. So it's kind of stopped down. So if you know how to shoot by ratio, which I think all photographers should understand how this works, then this is a great way of shooting. So yes, it uses AAA's, but for its compact size, I think it's worth it for a camera like this that you're getting a guide number of 20. So that is my sort of full review. I'll have even more information on my blog soon enough. But overall, I give this, I haven't even done a point system, but let's just say out of 10, I would give this an 8 out of 10 for this class of camera. And really the 2 points notched down on it is really the sensor size and the off switch being on the barrel. And also there's an extra controller thingy here too, but we've run out of time to talk about that. But overall, I like this camera. Get it. It should be in stores soon. I think B&H is already selling it at $5.99. If I can recommend to Fuji, if sales aren't doing so great on this camera, maybe you can throw in this this lens hood and 52mm adapter. I think this should be included anyways as a little bonus, and I think you would have all the nerds flock to this camera, and maybe bundle it maybe even with this flash unit and have this flash with this for maybe $6.99 for the holidays. So anyways, this is Big Cat Taco coming to you from no man's land, East Vancouver. Thank you for watching. Subscribe above, and that's it. Thank you. Click, click.